Okay, welcome everybody. This is the October meeting 2024 of the Wharf District Council. Before we start our meeting, I would say that we are delighted to have our council president here, and would it be helpful for us to go around the room and just introduce ourselves quickly?
I would love that.
Okay.
I would love that. Yeah.
Great. I'm Mark Margulies. I'm president, and we have the owl here that will follow us around as we go around the room. Suzanne?
Stephen, there is one more chair over here.
Yeah, come sit.
Suzanne
But you have to
Boyd,
sit next to me.
the executive director of the Wharf District Council, and I live in Howard Towns.
Hi, everyone. I am Ritu Jen. I am an at-large city councilor, so I get to represent the entire city, including the Wharf District Council. And I'm the president of the Boston City Council. In my second term on the Boston City Council, my first term as president, it's been an interesting and amazing first 9-10 months on the council. And I'm a Hyde Park resident, born and raised in Hyde Park, and happy to be here with all of you today.
Hi, my name is Emily Folston. I am the chief of staff to the council president. I ran her campaign. I had the pleasure of doing so at 21, and I stayed on with her. So we've been learning municipal government together. Happy to be here.
Hello, Doug Bell, Polio Boston board president, right down the street.
John Araby, resident of those Wharf treasurer. I'm Steve Day, Hilton Howard Towers, I'm an author and written books about Boston.
Jack McDonald, I'm still district liaison to councilor collect.
So my name is Addison, I'm the component of Eastern, I don't think in Boston. I'm Mark Grossman, resident of Boston.
Jenny Harding, I'm with Medical Marketplace. I'm Nina Quadrini, and I'm the marketing manager.
I'm Neil Hartman, chair of the Tower 2 Board of Trustees at Harbor Towers and a member of the Wharf District Council. Ray Green, I'm a resident of the Intercontinental.
Mark Weber, resident of Boston.
Michael Nelson, I run security for TV Rock.
I am Curtis McMillan, I'm the general manager of TV.
I'm Arthur Smolnauskas. I live on Pearl Street here. I run a Boston walking tour business and also do engineering startup.
Which walking tour?
The whole of Boston walking tours. I'm actually gonna change the name, but it's
My first job was as a walking tour.
Awesome. I'd love to know you.
Chris Cook, executive director of the Rose Kennedy Greenway.
And Stephen Johnston, managing director here at the Boston Harbor Hotel.
Last but not least, around the table, just joining us.
Matthew Brody, I'm here tonight. Jack, the Premier Council. Some of you also know me from the Boston Neighborhood Association leadership team, and also the Council.
Great, welcome all.
Before we get started, we may have to move the mic, so someone needs to tell us if they cannot hear.
Yeah.
Speakers.
Hopefully you can all hear reasonably. Norm, can you hear okay?
Yes, so far.
Great, terrific, okay. As we usually do, we're going to have a brief update from Captain Martin or Officer Champa, letting us all what's going on in the district, and then we look forward to hearing from Council President.
Hi, Mark. Thank you very much. I'll be myself tonight. Officer Frank Champa, A1 CSO. Captain couldn't make it tonight. We have a in-house meeting that he performed. So just be stepping in. I'll be brief. I know you guys have a busy agenda. I'm just gonna touch upon a few things, and if you have any questions for me, I'll do my best to answer them, or I can get back to you as soon as I can with the best answer. So 11 p.m. on September 13th, we did have a pretty serious assault that occurred in Faneuil Hall. Some of you may have seen it on the news. It's just a couple of individuals that punched a victim, and he became unconscious at the time. We made full notifications to detect this incident and process the scene, meaning we brought everyone in, took it very serious. The victim has some very serious injuries, was transported over to Mass General, is alive, it's like gonna die or anything like that, but some pretty serious injuries. This is an ongoing investigation, so I'm not gonna dive really much further, but do have some good video of the incident and some still images. So detectives will do their best to get to the bottom of it. Going further, 5 PM on Saturday, September 14th. At the New England Aquarium, we did have an individual jump from the second floor into the tank. Is believed to potentially harm themselves purposely. EMS on scene with Boston Fire. Thankfully, this person wasn't too badly hurt. They took them over to Mass General, where a Section 12, was also done to get this person some help mentally. And then on top of that, we just had at noontime on Tuesday, September 17th, at the bank over at the Brookline Bank on 33 State Street. We had a suspect go in there and attempt to rob the bank. They walked out with like $200. Run out of the bank, go to the side of the bank. They had him on camera, change his description. So very good job by our officers being transparent with the bank. They got that information out quickly, emailed it throughout our department email, and we had 3 officers stop the person that matched the new description after he had changed over in the Boston Common, where a bring back was made. We bring the victim back. Victim witness, that they observed this individual and they positively identified them. So they were good to go for an arrest for unarmed robbery. And they also had a couple of warrants on top of that. So pretty good police work. That's all the major events I have that have occurred in the district. Like I said, I'll let you guys go forward, and if you have any questions, I'll do my best to help.
Great, thank you. Do keep us updated on the progress of that unfortunate victim. Questions for our representatives from A1? No. Thank you very much, officer. Appreciate it as
Thanks,
we
Mark.
do everything that you do day in and day out and night in and night out.
I'll be on the call for a bit if anything comes up.
Great, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Great. Well, we, as I said, we're honored to have Council President Ruth C. Lujan here with us. And you have been busy, as you're going to tell us, what's going on with the city.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm so honored that I can be here before the Wharf District Council. I think this is maybe my 4th time here. And so just very happy to be with all of you. The city is really busy, and it's busy.
Get out, maybe fucking people stop walking for 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Happens regularly.
I thought that was a constituent. Take notes, all right, we gotta make sure. No, hey, it's been a real joy to serve the city in this capacity as city council president. Like I said, I'm from Hyde Park and Mattapan, so the other side of the city, but my first job was in the South End and in Roxbury as a walking tour guide. And after that, I was selling tour guide tickets down here on Rose Wharf as part of City Week Trolley Tour. It's like a former employee there, so feel connected to all parts of the city. And that's why I really do love this job, because I get to represent every corner of it. In just this year alone, we've done things like legalized beekeeping throughout the entire city of Boston, because bees are really important to our ecosystem. I'm pretty sure folks probably didn't know that it was an illegal use throughout most of the city, but we have championed making that legal. We co-sponsored the legislation that's going to provide liquor licenses to a lot of our neighborhoods to really infuse equity into some equity. We did not perfect the system. Into how we distribute liquor licenses and really reinvigorate neighborhoods. In the last 2 weeks on the Boston City Council, we held, my office has held 3 hearings and co-sponsored another that are just a demonstrative of the work that we do in the 4 key areas: housing, education, democracy building, and basic city services. So the one on housing, my office is looking at, and we held a hearing on the city's use of former school buildings for housing. We know that Boston Public Schools, and I've written an op-ed about this recently in the Dorchester Reporter, if you want to take a look, but we need to downsize the number of buildings that we have, school buildings that we have, just because we have too many buildings for the number of students. And it leads to a lot of inefficiencies in our school system, but how do we make sure that when those buildings or former police buildings, former schools, former libraries, although we don't have too many of those, once they're coming offline, how do we make sure that they're used for affordable housing? It's really hard for us to intervene on the market. The market is gonna do what it's gonna do, to a certain extent. But how are we using our city assets to ensure affordability in housing? And so thinking about, just writing, into our law requiring housing, for former city assets like buildings to be, to require them to be used for housing. Great example of that is in Hyde Park, the Pride Building. That's the first ever LGBTQ+ friendly senior housing in the city of Boston. And that's a former, I see Chris Hyde Parker shaking his head.
Where I did my student teaching.
There you go. It's a former school, middle school that both my older sister and younger sister went to. I was a rebel and went to school in Dorchester. But that was not school and is now used for housing. So we held a really great hearing on that. We held a hearing on having more school counselors for our young kids. Emily and I just came from a really terrific tour of Children's Hospital. 2 hours about the work that they're doing and about what they're seeing on the mental health needs of our young people. And how increasing the number of school counselors and supports for our young kids can really help them deal with mental health issues. Students can't perform well academically if they have mental health issues. And what was interesting about the hearing was like students who aren't performing well academically are having mental health issues because of that. So I think that what that highlights for me is the need to make sure that our students, yes, our teachers can help with the learning, but our students can't learn if there are other things happening. So trying to increase the number of supports for that. We held a hearing on ranked choice voting, which was a ballot-wide measure on in 2020 on the state level that was not successful, but 62% of Boston voted in favor of ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting is all of, and we're trying to explore it here on the local level, and it's all about making sure that with the candidates who win have the majority support of the voters. So this helps reduce vote splitting, so you can really ensure that you're not wasting your vote by making sure you're rating candidates from 1, 2, 3, 4. And making sure that the candidate who wins has 50% plus of the vote. So what happens now if you have 6 candidates running, theoretically, someone can win an election by just having 30% of the vote. And even let's say if there are 6 candidates and the 6th candidate has 30% of the vote, but candidates 1 to 5 are very similar, but then everyone splits their vote among the 5. The candidate with only 30% of the vote ends up winning because they don't represent the majority will of the people in that district. So ranked choice voting helps to solve that issue. And so we had a really informative hearing last week on ranked choice voting. And then on an issue I know that might matter a lot to the folks here, we co-sponsored a hearing on rodents in the city of Boston. We have been working on a pilot in Jamaica Plain that's all about rat birth control to try to address. Yeah, it's innovative and it's interesting, and so we're looking at the data. We're looking to see if we could reduce our rodent population by providing them with birth control. And so we're working with a company called Wisdom Good Works in Jamaica Plain on a pilot where we've seen some limited success in the reduction of rodents in the area, working alongside the community and the nonprofit company and the city. And so we're really looking to see if this is something, if we could get better data, because right now we're only able to use visual data and based on and data based on the consumption of the rat birth control. But the city wants to see better data before this is a project that we expand. Until then, we're looking at the tried and true measures. If you're trying to get rid of rodents, there are 3 things you got to do. You got to address their food source, their shelter, and water. And so in Jamaica Plain, we've been doing that pilot, which is a rat birth control fertility pilot. But in Roxbury, we've been working with the city of Boston to have a different sort of pilot to make sure that street sweepers are going in right after trash collection day, twice a week to, remedy some of the issues that they're seeing there. So, you know, not saying there's a one size fits all, but since one size fits all, but looking at every neighborhood and seeing what works best for every neighborhood and really trying to get at that issue. So that's just an example of some of the day-to-day issues that we deal with. Of course, the number one issue that we question that we get in the city is one of housing, because we just don't have enough of it at any level, and especially for our working class families and folks living in poverty. So it's the number one issue that we're trying to address in the city. We get a number of pothole issues that it brings me joy to work alongside the city to get trash cans and recycle bins placed throughout the city. And on the council, some of the work that we've been trying to do is just trying to build a better body. I say that I want the council in the news for the work that we're doing around RADs, around us, our schools, around housing, and for us to be boring. And so we're just looking to make sure that the council is really focused on the work. I'm blessed to have an amazing chief of staff in Emily, but we also have incredible city council staffers in Jack and Matt and their bosses that are great to work with. City Councilor Henry Santana, my right arm in so many ways, Councilor Kaleta Zapata. And so it's just a real joy for me to serve the city. Mark and I and Suzanne were talking a little bit about another thing, if those who are interested, my parents are from Haiti. And so Haiti's been in the news for a number of reasons. Obviously, we have a former president and a vice presidential candidate that has said some terrible things about people in my community, and that has consumed a lot of my time. So I tell people I'm 5 things. I'm the president of the city council, an at-large city councilor, a candidate for office most of the time, Asian American, and a person who needs to eat and sleep and all that stuff. So those are my 5 identities, but I really love this job, and I love this job in part because I just come to this job as my full self and all the things that I care about. And it's really just a joy serving every one of you. So I think that's enough copy. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Could we ask you to explain this complicated tax reduction thing that's going on?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, I might have to, and you'll get it right and I won't.
No, let's see. So, the mayor is proposing tax reclassification such that the way that our taxes are split between commercial taxes and residential taxes, we are going to see an increase in residential taxes. What the mayor is trying to do is to decrease the blunt of the increases that residents are going to experience in their tax increases, because of what we're seeing in the market, that reduction in our collection of commercial taxes because of the nature of the commercial market right now. So, but in order for us to do a tax shift, it requires us to get permission from the State House. Now you have folks in the business community that are not in favor of the shift because it's going to, with their interpretation is that it puts a greater burden on the commercial industry that's already struggling right now. And while that is not incorrect, most like the data that has borne out so far, and it's more recent data, is that the commercial owners actually most won't experience a significant an increase in their taxes, and most of them won't experience a significant increase. And so this tax shift is trying to blunt the blow on everyday residents who are homeowners on the tax increase. Not saying I think folks will experience a tax increase, but this is trying to prevent that swing. So right now, there's been some concessions made at the State House level on how much they would be at the House level, how much they'd be willing to lift the cap on taxes for commercial properties. Right now, that legislation is stalled in the Senate because.
Do you happen to know offhand what the balance is in terms of the overall revenue between commercial and residential?
I don't want to misspeak. Is it 60-40 or 70-30 between?
Matthew, 60.
It's 60-40.
60 commercial,
No, I think it's 60 residential.
60 residential. Gotcha. Okay, all right. And those are the two sources, right?
Yeah, I mean, and so a lot of major cities are struggling with this. We struggle with it a lot more because our revenue sources are limited. And so we rely heavily on property taxes. I believe it's 73% of the city's revenue is reliant on property taxes. And so when there are solutions, there are 4 solutions, and this is not me in my own brain, it's like a tax institute that said there are 4 solutions, right? Like you cut the budget, you find other revenue streams, you increase taxes, and I'm always like, no, support this, but, and so, we're looking into how we increase our revenue streams.
Here's reserves.
Is that it?
This is the cheat sheet.
Okay,
You want
I
it?
didn't know there was a cheat sheet, okay, or you use reserves, which actually the city is looking at for to help jumpstart some of the stalled development that's happening. They're using what is termed as free cash for that, but and so one of the things that's really hard as we're seeing play out is that the city, we're very limited in what we can do on our own. It requires us to get permission from the state house, which the lawyer in me is like, home rule authority is so limiting, and it's hard for us, even if when we want to call something a fee, right? Like the property transfer fee, that still is required to get approval from the state house. And so that limits our ability to be creative in terms of revenue collection, right? And also we have nonprofits who are here that aren't paying taxes that account, I believe, for 1/3 of the property in the city. So, right, that's a big, as I love all of the institutions, I went to a lot of them, I go to a lot of them, but it's a big revenue loss. And so we are more dependent on property taxes than other cities, and our ability to raise revenue is limited as well. So it's caught between a rock and a hard place.
Sure. Yeah. Something that's going to affect all of us, one way or the other.
Yes. Yeah.
How about some other questions for Council President?
I have a question regarding the buildings that become part of the universities and they're no longer on the tax rolls. Isn't there some way that the city can do something that would allow these particular buildings that are new to these colleges and universities or not private to have to pay a certain fee or tax or something?
The buildings themselves, I'm not sure about the buildings themselves. I think with our pilot program, we can't require, but we very strongly ask these institutions to pay payment in lieu of taxes to the city. That's an interesting question. I want to say that there has to be a way, especially if the building is and we see this a lot with my alma mater, like a lot of Harvard's property is owned not by Harvard itself, but via LLCs, but still, we're not able to get the tax revenue on that. So I don't understand I can't explain fully the reasoning behind that, but I'm sure if it's something that we could do, we would explore doing it.
Right.
Like a good example of that is the Ames Hotel that is now part of, I believe, Suffolk University. So make that is a building and business that obviously brought in significant revenue.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if it's not a pilot question that I've looked at, so I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely something we can look into. I know the city is going to be, along with the Councilor Braden, who's the chair of the pilot committee on the council, is looking to try to figure out how we get more revenue. They have some ideas that are less aggressive than what the council wants to do.
But any of those would have to be, you're saying, a state approved.
Not pilot.
No,
Yeah.
but any other form of taxation would have to.
Yeah, and actually, to her credit, Governor Hilly is actually trying to explore more municipal options for how can cities raise their own revenue, trying to build in local options, which the legislature doesn't always love, but I know that there's some exploration on our end. But yeah, it's really, really difficult at the end of the day. I mean, parking tickets, other than that, it's hard otherwise for us to raise revenue.
Counselor, I
And
know
Chris
you-
could probably add so much more than my 3-year nascency in city government.
Not at
so.
all, not in any way. I wanted to compliment you, but also open it up in case you wanted to comment. I think you and Councilor Coletta Zapata have shown great leadership on climate resilience. This group in particular, for a group of neighbors, has shown great leadership as well in coming up with a resilience plan that I think is possible to implement for the Wharf district. I think it's a good model for other districts. So I was just wondering, if you could talk a little bit about what you see the council's role, your role is for as far as climate resilience goes, and what you think steps we should take.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I promise you I didn't plant that question. But I actually am always using the Wharf District Council as the model for in the city in terms of like this big public-private partnership, because of how we are both working, and I know that it's stalled at ISD, and we talked about this, and so we're gonna like continue looking into it, but like what it looks like for neighborhoods to come up with their own coastal resiliency plan, and to think about one of the concerns that I have is that how do we make sure that it feeds into the city's own larger coastal unified resiliency plan, right? With 47 miles of coastal land in the city of Boston, and Councilor Coletta Zapata last week or 2 weeks ago, held a hearing on this issue. Exactly, and Brian Sweat, which I know so many of you are familiar with, was there talking about how you know, they like it when groups can take sort of the agency and the leadership that you all display here at the Wharf District Council to think about what it looks like for your neighborhood, and what to do in neighborhoods that maybe they're not able to plan in the same way. And so I'm encouraged by, you know, the mayor just announced a new climate council, but the city council, especially under the leadership of Councilor Coletta Zapata, who's your district councilor, is really trying to continue to hold the city accountable on really sharing with the public what the entire plan for the city is, rather than just doing sort of piecemeal plans. And I think if what I gather from the city is that they're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, I want to remind.
But also
Yeah.
applaud all of you for just being at the forefront and thinking leaps and bounds.
Great.
For the city.
Thank you. Well, we've been working on it for a long time. I remind you all that Doris and Bob Gordon funded in large part a video that we together created 5 years ago, I guess it was, on where we hope that this area will go and the vision for the district, and we have continued to work on it again. And thank you, Doris and Bob, again for all your help that you've done over the years on that. I see Norm raise a hand. I'll let you talk, Norm, because you might say what I was going to, but go ahead, please.
Well, maybe not, Mark, but thank you for coming, Council President. We appreciate it. This is Norman Meisner. I'm the chair of the Tower One Board of Trustees at Harbor Towers. And my question relates to what you were just talking about. There's the greater issue of protecting the entire waterfront. And that's what the Wharf District Council, for its piece of it, has been contributing to. But that's a long-term effort. And in the meantime, there's the jeopardy from storms and just general rising tides. And so individual buildings may have plans to do that for their own buildings. Harbor Towers has such a plan to do some major work to protect the buildings against flooding. And it gets stalled in the permitting process. And the reason it gets stalled is it's brand new. There's lots of reasons to give zoning variances. None of those reasons are climate change. None of those reasons are rising tide. So when the bureaucracy looks at applications, they say, sorry, we can't pass this because you don't have one of the 4 reasons that you can get a variance. And that's extremely frustrating. And so from not just from the Harbor Tower standpoint, but from the standpoint of all the buildings that are in jeopardy, that want to protect themselves, it's important that the city pay attention to making the appropriate changes to the zoning code in order to allow resiliency projects to proceed.
You follow, you know what they're going through at the moment?
Yeah, no, and I also talked to district councilor before, and I know that it's and I've talked to Joanne about this. I now know that the problem is at ISD.
Yep.
And it's being stalled at ISD. I didn't, I think part of it may be like a capacity issue, but it may also be, it's not a capacity issue, it's just
Just don't know how to deal with it, right, Norm?
Exactly the case. ISD is now looking to the Boston Planning Department to say, okay, give us air cover on this so that we can approve it because it's not in the regulations.
Yeah. Well, I do know that the city is trying to move, like, we approved as a council, when it comes to, for example, the BPDA using any urban renewal powers, we're looking at affordability, resiliency, and there's one more principle, but those are the three principles. So I think that the city is trying, but there is that sort of delay, and that's one of maybe the good reason that we have Brian in-house now at the city, but like, when I say staff, I don't mean like a staff shortage issue. I think of like a staff capacity and sort of how to understand these issues.
That could be.
Instead of, in a way that I think can help not stall really good ideas.
Yeah, I think the good side and the bad side of this is that the Wharf District Council and its members appear to be on the this point of the spear on just about all of these issues. And we're looking for your help in allowing us to move forward. I think we're also suggesting that the lessons learned out of what we're going through are going to be of serious benefit to other communities, and we should figure out how to leverage that knowledge so that God knows how many extra millions of dollars, Norm, you have spent over the last 5 years trying to get approval for climate resilience for those towers. It's right, Neil?
Yes, significant.
Right. So this is a legislative, regulatory, and bureaucratic issue. We have to figure out how to get out of each other's way because the ocean doesn't care whether we agree with them or not.
What are they giving any like substantive reasons other than like this is novel?
Well,
So I don't want to, belabor our specific thing too much in this large meeting, but it's that just based on the precise wording of the zoning code, we're increasing the floor area ratio slightly as part of this project. And that's not allowed without a variance. And that variance is not granted for climate change resiliency projects because nobody thought of that, whenever the variances were
one of them is one of the variances you can get is for geographic conditions, but not hydrological conditions. So anyway, something you need to be aware of and
We're happy to write a letter to, I know that Councilor Zapata is working on it, but whatever, to just more forcefully state that we want.
So I will be in communication with you through your office on that subject.
Yeah, and
Appreciate it.
I'm not sure if you can see Emily, but Emily, my chief of staff, is here along with, again, Councilor staff from Councilor Zapata, Councilor Santana's office, and we all work well together collectively to make sure that we continue to define this as an important issue for the city and for the work.
yeah, it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I want to remind everybody, in case any of our electeds aren't aware of the Climate Beacon Conference that is being held.
Thursday, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right. We're doing Norm and I are actually going to be doing our song and dance. I sent out a thing. It's actually on Thursday, not on Friday, on the 17th at 4 o'clock. Hopefully some other people will come besides Norm and me. And we will have a chance to talk specifically about what we have been doing and sharing it with other people in other communities. So hopefully that's a useful session. Ours will be the least useful. The others are fantastic. It's a really, really great lineup of people to talk about the climate issues. We have a whole range of them.
Well, if it turns out to be just you and I, then we can at least convince each other.
That's right. Other questions of a council president?
Well, you mentioned using excess capacity in building the city for housing. what are the issues holding back a more aggressive pace of closing schools, the excess capacity? I know it's probably more of a school committee issue.
Closing schools is a really hard thing to do because it causes a lot of trauma in the school population. Both of my elementary school and my middle school, both of those schools just merged, and I was involved in the conversations around the merge, and they're really hard decisions to have at the school level, and they're really fraught political decisions. I think those are the two biggest issues. So they need to happen in order for us to get improved, like at the end of the day, if you get improved academic outcomes, we're able to funnel more of the money back into the students and less into paying HVAC at school. But I'm also not going to say that they're easy decisions.
Right, I'm sure it's like a Band-Aid up, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, I mean, and so I was at the PA Shaw and the Taylor, I went to the Taylor from K1 to the 5th grade, 7 years in Mattapan. And that's a school that just merged with the PA Shaw. Very, 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 very hard conversations, and I wrote about this in the Burgess report op-ed. But we are in year one of the merger, and it's going on.
Yeah. So it
And
might
there's
be
still a long-term facilities plan that we need to work out, so they're very hard, but they're necessary, so.
Is that something you can use to point to others that this is, wow?
That's why I wrote about that, and that's why I wrote about that, so that hopefully, and especially because I think there are also really serious equity concerns, right, oftentimes.
Yeah.
You know, especially Black and brown communities feel like, resources being taken away, and I sympathize with that completely, like. I think the footprint of my elementary school is still amazing, I would be sad, and there's an also an emotional attachment. If it closes, but if it's for improved academic outcomes, if it's to make sure that every school building, the librarian and the gym, and our classroom and an elevator, then it's for the greater good. And so, yeah, that sort of was the spirit behind why I wrote it.
Well, thank you for your reference.
Other questions? Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. You're welcome to stick around if you can. And if not, please keep doing what you're doing. We're going to hear now from Jenny Harding about what's going on at Faneuil Hall Marketplace.
Oh, and if I may.
Oh, sure.
I think I said it to a few people, but we're having a time tomorrow
yes.
at Zucali in the North End, if anybody wants to come at 6 p.m. with I think your rep, Aaron Michaelitz. Right,
Mhm.
Aaron
Yep,
Michaelitz,
yep.
over at college, so if anyone, and Council Club Zapata and former Senator Joe Buckford, if anybody would like to come, so 6 p.m. tomorrow. Great, thank you, thanks. Zucali.
When?
CALI, Zucali.
When?
For weekend.
Just? Okay, let me see if I can find those.
And what time is
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay.
Which address did you send it to? Mark at? Okay, yeah. Yeah.
And we have some cars.
That the one?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so I know a lot of you through my work at the hall and from, visiting this group. I'm also a board member of the North City Greenway Conservancy and the Greenway Business Improvement District. But I am thrilled to introduce Nina Pellegrini, who joined our team in July, new marketing manager. So she is going to share with you some of the things that we've been working on around developing some new events and what we have planned for the holiday season.
Great.
Do I stay seated or do we normally stand up?
Whatever you'd like.
I'll stand up.
All right.
See pretty well.
A way to make me look bad.
Don't go too. Don't go too. If you want to stand about right there, that would be great, because that way they can see you and you'll be on the microphone as well. That's right. There's one right here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is probably my first time coming to this meeting, but I'm excited to attend more in the future. So like Jenny mentioned, we have a very exciting list of robust events coming up, from high energy performances to seasonal celebrations we're just excited to continue to unite the local community for curated events to enhance the overall guest experience. So tomorrow we have the grand opening of Del Moro's Fresh Pasta to Go in Quincy Market, which we're very excited about. This will be their second location, I believe, in Massachusetts. So that's going to be tomorrow at 10:30. There's gonna be a fresh pasta cutting ceremony, some giveaways, complimentary samples. So if you're around, definitely come check it out. And then a few other standout events. We have Daniel Halloween on Sunday, October 27th, featuring local vendors, a costume pet parade. I've heard that had great attendance in the past and was very popular. So we're excited to bring it back, and all ticket proceeds will be donated to the New England Lab Rescue, which is a nonprofit, and they help give labs homes all over New England, which is awesome. Of course, we have our tree lighting this year on Tuesday, November 26th. We're very excited about that. There's more information on the last slide about that event. And then we're also excited to host a couple of festivities for Hanukkah this year. We're working with the Central Synagogue as well as the Boston Chabad. So definitely excited about those as well. Here is just a continued list. On the slide, you'll see some performances that we're excited to host. Usually around this time, we see returning groups come to the marketplace during the holidays, which is very nice. We're excited for the North Star Drum and Bugle Corps alumni performance. The New Hampshire Notables, I believe it's an all-female choir group, so we're excited about that, as well as a collaboration between Arts Boston and the Commonwealth Shakespeare Co. So Saturday, December 7th will be a very fun day. And then in terms of holiday partners, we're just very honored to work with a range of businesses this year to provide additional services to elevate and amplify holiday engagement for vendors and visitors alike. We'll be working with BOGO Split on a holiday market to feature some indie vendors at the marketplace. We're so excited about that. I've been speaking with the marketing manager at the Fox Center. We're hoping to have some Grinch pop-up appearances ahead of the musical that's coming, I believe, in November or December. We will have professional Santa photography available this year, which is awesome. We're activating a former retail storefront, which is really nice. We'll have bag and coat check for visitors, more performances. We're hoping to work with Get Connected to have some sort of market featuring BIPOC vendors, as well as New England vendor events. So busy. And then as always, we have big plans for our holiday decor if all goes to plan. So it's almost time to deck the halls, and we of course encourage visitors to come and take pictures and tag us and everything. We love to see the joy that our decor can bring guests. So the expected arrival date of our Christmas tree will be in early November. We're gonna have a media event for that, which is very exciting. So if anyone is around, definitely come check it out. It's a very interesting process. I've heard that the tree is put into place and then it's built out. So that will be very interesting to see. We're gonna have the Quincy Market columns wrapped in ribbon with lights. We have a ton of like twinkle lights around the property. So we're really excited about that. Some wreaths and some bows, of course. And then just the last slide, sharing additional details on our tree lighting. Again, it's going to be on Tuesday, November 26th. Timing is roughly 2 to 7 p.m. There's going to be some great entertainment. We're using a larger stage this year, so we can have some bigger, more grand performances. There's going to be free face painting. And then we'll flip the switch at 6 p.m. sharp, or Santa will, to light the Christmas tree. We're honored to have Amaka Ubaka be the MC this year for the event. We're so happy to have her. And then we listed out a couple performances, special guests. We're excited to host Melissa Spinelli, Miss USA, Santa and Ciara. As well as there'll be some great refreshments. We have hot chocolate from the Divines. I'm sure Ben and Jerry's will do ice cream again. I heard everyone loved that, so we're very excited for that event.
Are you doing the light show?
No,
It's
not
not
this-
the light show.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's going on the second floor these days? Is that, I don't- yeah,
So half of it is picnics.
Yep.
Half of it is Pet Spot.
Ah.
So the new ownership group is exploring different options for how to activate that space and how to bring new life to it.
Good.
In an experiential way. So they're talking to a couple of different operators about what that would look like.
Mhm.
long term.
Are there any new retailers that have come in lately?
So Del Moro's is the most recent one. They just completed their build out as a food stall market. Fresh pasta. So when she says a pasta cutting, like, we mean they're gonna make a long spaghetti that they're gonna cut instead of a ribbon. So it's very cool. And it's very fresh. They make the pasta right in front of you.
Wow.
It's part of what we hope to be the new evolution of local and fresh options to enhance Quincy Market versus perhaps some stale concepts.
Great.
So, yes. Yes,
Well, this is exciting to see.
yeah.
The
and, you
new
know,
ownership has got you excited about it, right?
Yes, I'm very excited about the new direction and their support and the positive way forward. I'm sure all of you probably remember the Blink show and sort of that era. I don't know that we'll ever get back to that specifically, given that that was a joint effort between two separate properties and sort of a complicated relationship within that. We used to share the cost with our neighbor, and they have not been interested in doing that partnership again. So that's why we have shifted our efforts, shifted the location of the tree. But I do think.
Where's the tree gonna be?
So the west end, we're right outside, between historic Main Hall and this market.
Ah,
So, you know, Blink was wonderful. I think that this aesthetic is a little more on brand for the historic nature of Quincy Market and the area. And ways that we can build off of that and entertain people in a different way. While still having sort of that iconic, you know, photo moment, the iconic tree. And I think it's done in a very tasteful, elevated way. We use a company called Red Nose Holiday Decor. They're out of Peabody. Our tree is set to come from New York. And like you were saying, they build it in place. They actually take two trees and like fill in the branches. It's very fun to see.
great.
A lot in the works.
Can I ask, who was the neighbor that used to split costs, who used to split costs with?
Marketplace that.
So that's a different ownership, huh? That's the new building? Yeah. Huh.
And we have a great relationship with them. It's not like we're fighting with them or anything. It's just like, it was a very expensive production and in 2020, you know, that was just kind of taken off the table and then we moved the location of the tree and we like it there. So it's working and maybe down the road, we can explore like what that partnership would look like again, but for now, we're doing our own thing.
Yeah. It was a truly wonderful thing. You know, there just aren't that many winter activities, and we have talked here a lot about how wonderful it is to have things that are animated during the winter to get people to come here and come downtown, because it can be pretty chilly. You gotta have a reason.
Yep. And we hope, you know, we're inviting so many community events, like groups that want to do holiday, the choral, you know, a choral group, or whether it's a dance group, and like, if they're brave enough to do it outside, like, bring it on, you know, we want to do it at Quincy Market.
Great.
Jenny's one of my bosses, so consider the source on this, Mark, but I gotta say, your leadership and especially the new ownership and embracing community members into this programming I mean, the Faneuil Hall Marketplace tree lighting is a big event, and to include NEMPAC in that, have local kids participating in that, it's an incredibly exciting opportunity for them. So like, I'm glad the ownership is supporting you, and I'm glad that you're doing that. I just think, and I've just seen so much more of that at Faneuil Hall Marketplace, and just how deep your connections are with the immediate community is very impactful.
Great.
And again, Jenny's one of my bosses.
That's good.
So ask her.
Great. Jenny, thank you very much. You have a question?
What is the percentage of people who come there who live in the city and are sort of locals versus the visitors or the tourists that we see pour off the boats?
Yeah. I don't really have any hard numbers on that. We obviously skew very tourist, and that is our sort of core demographic right now. It's obviously gonna hope that with new businesses, new events, you know, new life, that it will give people that live here and people within our greater community more reasons to come and explore Quincy Market, give them more things to do that are accessible. So, you know, that is certainly where we would like to shift things moving forward. To, you know, the tourists will always come, but why can we give Bostonians a reason to visit and to see themselves represented there?
That would be great, because I know many years ago, when you would go to Quincy Market, there was that local Bostonian flavor to it, but now it seems to be much more, the shops and everything, much more catering to the tourists, and which kind of why go there?
Yeah.
To be blunt, but
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think this is really, the new ownership group sees it as a real opportunity, and they see the potential. They want to invest in the property. They want to bring it back to life. And I think they're really doing their due diligence right now to understand the historic nature of the property, what is possible, what are the limitations. You know, we are limited because we're a historic landmark. There are certain things to be careful of. We have 200-year-old, you know, buildings that we need to take care of and be stewards of. And so it's certainly a complicated undertaking, but they are taking it really seriously. And we obviously feel a great sense of responsibility to make it a very special destination. So I am excited about what they have in store.
well,
Great.
whatever the Wharf District Council can do to support you, please reach out to us.
Yeah, one of the things that we're going to talk about in a minute is the, you know, marketplace, the
Boston Market.
yeah, public market,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And they have an event coming up, and so, you know, we're trying to publicize that
Right,
as much as we
we're
can.
getting more involved in supporting them with the communities.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely make sure that we has you on our list to
Good.
share all of what she is doing.
Great, thank you, Jenny. Let's see, Sheldon Cohen is going to talk about the Black
The Black
Rose.
He should, I
Is
believe,
Sheldon online?
he should be. Paul Wilson could not attend.
Do we have somebody representing the Black Rose?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
I
we
don't know
can.
Well, my camera is not coming on, but should be. Hi, everybody. My name's John Plugini. I am an attorney in Boston, and I'm here representing Glen Hospitality Group. I apologize while the screen is out. I don't know what's going on with that. Paul Williams was initially scheduled to come here tonight. He had death in his family, and as a result, he is back in Ireland. So the reason I am here tonight is the Black Rose. It's located at 160-170 State Street. And the action before you is a reduction of capacity from 406 to 186. A little bit of history here. Glen Hospitality was renting 2 floors at this location. However, during COVID, they opted not to renew the second floor space. That second floor space is currently used for offices unrelated in any way to the Black Rose or to Glen Hospitality.
Hmm.
Now that they're only occupying the ground floor, the Black Rose is seeking to reduce their occupancy number in order to comply with code regulations. The current stated capacity is 196. They're seeking a reduction to have that capacity to 186. It is worth noting that the 186 number would typically only be utilized on days where there's high volumes, such as St. Patrick's Day and other holidays like that. Otherwise, the Black Rose will be up for layouts focused more on dining, and as such, the capacity most often would be 158 with dining tables placed throughout the establishment. For background, the ground floor is approximately 2,700 square feet. Has 3 bathrooms, 4 stalls, and 2 urinals. And as probably most of you know, the operating hours are 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. The Black Rose has been providing live entertainment 7 days a week for 365 days a year since its opening back in 1976. And it is actually, we had filed for the change of occupancy to reduce the occupancy. And the violation we received from ISD was restaurant with live entertainment is forbidden in Faneuil Hall. However, that's a pre-existing violation. As I stated, this has been going back to 1976. So the reason why we're here tonight is we're hoping that we could get a support letter from the Wharf District Council, and I'm here to answer any questions. Again, I apologize for the camera. I don't know exactly what's going on here.
John, I think it would be helpful for us if you could shoot us a letter, if you haven't already, Suzanne, I don't know if you've gotten one, with all of the data that you just gave us, so that when, after this meeting, we'll have a meeting of the executive committee of the Wharf District Council to vote on your request. But I want to make sure that the letter that we write in support, or not, has all the correct data in it. So if you could follow up with that, that would be great.
I'll absolutely do that. Thank you for that.
Questions that we have for John about the Black Rose? Doesn't sound incredibly controversial to me.
It's usually the opposite. People are trying to.
Yeah, it's kind of weird actually, but that's a separate issue. Okay, we will vote on this after the fact. I don't see any questions here. Thank you very much, John.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.
So are Jack and Matthew here? Oh, you are. Great. Jack and Matthew are going to tell us about the queer neighborhood group. I'm supposed to ask some questions, but you go ahead and tell us about what's going on. And then if the questions are relevant, then that Matthew Murphy asked me to pose to you, then I will.
Mark, we have some slides. I'm on the Zoom. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure I can. Yes, right. Hang on.
It's faster than.
Yes, absolutely. Go right ahead.
And Mark, they're going to have to be closer to the microphone, please.
Oh, yes. Could you pass the mic all the way down? As far as you can, please.
Jane and Rob's or others.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As I said before, most of you know me as Jackie Bergamo. My pronouns are him. Most of you know me as the Wharf District Liaison for Councilor Zapata. My other hat, and on my off time, I co-founded the Queer Neighborhood Council along with Matthew. We're coming up on a year and a half now. So the Queer Neighborhood Council is citywide. We have members of the greater Boston area as well. We organize around visibility, access, and advocacy for Boston's LGBTQIA and ally community. The catalyst for this, what TQNC set out to solve is to create spaces, civic community spaces where people feel safe to come and take up space and exist as our whole selves. So in our first 17 months, we hosted 70 events. We've engaged 15 elected officials. We've collaborated with 42 organizations and venues.
And we have featured 115 queer Boston artists and performers at our events. We have 950 email subscribers and just made 1,800 on Instagram. So our events are organized around 4 pillars. These were voted on and decided by our community and multiple events that we had, sort of just asking like, what do you need from us? What is the community lacking? What is most on fire for you? And this has evolved over time. So our first pillar is our housing and policy advocacy group, where we meet to discuss our advocacy priorities, ones that we're working on now: housing, transportation, healthcare, and queer youth community centers. Our next pillar is policy roundtables. We hosted one last year with Senator Edwards in this very location. We also had one with Madam President Louisiana earlier this year. It's a chance for us to engage with our local elected officials and policy experts and bring our campaign priorities in front of them. And our last pillar is community arts events. We just hosted our third in our series of queer downtown Boston artist markets outside Faneuil Hall last Sunday, a couple days ago. And we host different events: comedy, poetry, galleries, drag, crafts, museums. And lastly, we have socials to help build community and bring everyone together.
So as Jeff mentioned, one of the 4 pillars is the housing and policy advocacy group, and the sort of companion to that is the policy roundtables, where we meet elected officials and policy experts, and Jeff mentioned as part of that, 15 or so elected officials at all levels of government, everyone from Boston City councilors, including, as Jack mentioned, the council president who's just here, all the way to Senator Warren and state folks in between. And the priorities, much like everything else that Jack mentioned about the process of how we formed the group, was based on community input. So the advocacy group meets regularly, and people discuss what they want to be advocating around. And that is then what in turn generates the materials that we bring to policy roundtables and what's presented and the conversations that we post with elected officials. We should just did one of these. Some of you might have a great time doing a nonprofit that works experience homelessness, doing workforce development. Just co-hosted a policy roundtable with 4 state elected officials and also the state executive director for the commission, talking about all the policy issues. We typically do a presentation of several dozen slides and questions around this, but we thought we'd give you like a tiny little flavor of this. So as Jack mentioned, these are kind of divided into categories. So housing is one of the issues that people particularly identified. Often we try to present statistics to go with this to explain why people have latched on these as focuses. Housing, one of the reasons why people have noted this is an issue in Massachusetts and Boston, is that about 28% of plus youth experience homelessness or housing still at some point in their life, so 4+. And in Massachusetts in particular, about 30% of the unaccompanied youth under age 25 are reported themselves as being LGBT this population, so it's a good chunk of the youth in Massachusetts with homelessness. That has led in part to the top voted priority that the group's been working on, trying to advocate around more shelter resources geared towards transgender members of the community who often face the most egregious discrimination and the highest levels of homelessness. Trans youth in particular, also in the national statistics, saw a 28% increase in homelessness in 1 year, so this is a problem. Another major housing related policy is right to counsel. So lots of folks are often surprised to discover, we're all sort of like used to the can't afford an attorney while provided to you. It's actually not true in housing. So if you are facing eviction as a tenant, or even as a landlord, and you need representation in court, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you do not have the right to counsel. You have to pay for your own attorney. And the outcome of that is probably exactly what you'd expect. About 90% of landlords end up having representation, and about 0.5% tenants end up having representation. And it turns out that that actually is really bad thing for the Commonwealth also, because we spend about $63 million on post-eviction services for homelessness and shelter, moving people out, eviction enforcement process, that we wouldn't have to spend, we just spent money on council. So the Boston Bar Association has determined that we actually funded attorneys for everyone, and that's for like actually cheaper for the Commonwealth than the current system. Funding those, it seems like one of those numbers, if we get to stay on board with. Transportation obviously is a major focus for everyone. One of the reasons why I've been identified by this particular focus is that 65% of Hispanic people in Massachusetts have reported experiencing discrimination in public spaces, during things. On the healthcare front, contact warning that there's some mental health suicide statistics in here. On the mental health front, for adults, LGBTQ adults are about twice as likely to experience anxiety and depression versus their cisgender, their sexual counterparts. And amongst youth, we see pretty troubling statistics. 41% of youth in Massachusetts, 13 to 18-year-olds get on plus have contemplated suicide, and 11% considered it. And perhaps most troubling in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we know from recent studies last year that about 50% of the youth who sought mental health services couldn't get access to this. It's a very large population. Crisis level statistics who don't have access to health services. That actually led also in part to youth community spaces as one of the focuses for the group. Some of the youth who participate have noted that their own participation in community spaces has been helpful in their mental health. So it's like we're advocating around, actually doesn't have to be terribly complicated. A lot of times it's the meeting and library spaces already exist. You just need to get the right mix of people and support. So that's kind of a like quick taste of policy roundtables. Usually go through much greater depth. I want to kind of give like an example of that. Jackson, I give you some of the upcoming events. All of which I think are in the next 4 weeks. We do a lot of.
Very soon. Now you're on the engagement panel with Tide in our workplace. Saturday night, we're collaborating with Food Stand, hosting a pre-game party and career dance party. We are going to be tabling at Boston Right and Open Streets on Sunday. Our housing and policy advocacy group is now potluck theme, so we'll be meeting next Tuesday. Then we have an election night watch party on election night, and that is for a birthday party on a
Originally, we actually started with Jack's birthday last year. That was good stuff. And certainly just encourage people, as Jack mentioned, our Instagram is kind of our main social media. It's TPNC Boston. If you want to follow us there. The website is also tpnc.org. So absent any funding, we've somehow managed to do 70+ events. With no external funding source. But certainly always appreciate people watching.
That's great. A lot of what a lot of you've gotten accomplished in a short period of time. That's terrific. Matthew Murphy wanted to be here. He's our vice president. He was not able to be. He got called out of town for work. But he asked me to ask you, how would you describe your organization's relationship with the mayor's office on LGBTQ plus advancement? And how do your efforts align and or differ from those of that office?
So we have been meeting with FOLA on the mayor's office of LGBTQ now plus advancement since the very beginning. Matthew and I both work in the city council on the 5th floor, so we often travel up there and speak with their members. They've been so supportive and so helpful. Matthew's office and actually Councilor just hosted a hearing on youth homelessness, and the whole office was there in support. So we're in line with what we want to see, what our priorities are for our community.
Great.
Yeah, I think maybe the one thing I just add in terms of this piece of it is that so we're all volunteer there full time, but they're also trying to work with every organization across the spectrum, city. I think a couple places where we vary is that we're much more community volunteer, and we're more than just Boston. So I think there's some places where they have advantage because they're aligned with the administration, and resources of the administration, and there's some places where they have advantage because they're sort of, you know, held back by having to kind of go at the pace of the administration and whatnot. So like I said, like, the most generous way possible, I guess. While we've had some months in the spring. So it's, I think we work well.
Great.
Source.
Great. Have you had a chance to see how other cities are? I don't know if those statistics that you were showing are for Boston or for Massachusetts or for the country or but how are we in terms of relative hospitality? I never mind some of the middle of the country, but other similar kinds of cities.
A lot of our members are from outside of the state, outside the city and outside the country that have just come here. And we just went on Google and typed in queer group support, whatever. But we have seen, you know, a movement of people, not recently, but, you know, historically, of people coming here to find safety. Unfortunately, we aren't as safe as we could be to the members that live here now, to the residents that are here now. You know, you're only as safe as the roof over your head. And we just looked at, you know, the members of our community that are unhoused or experience homelessness. You wanna add?
Yeah, so I thought I just pulled a slide up from our last policy roundtable to add to your point. So as Jack said, we're certainly seeing lots of members who are joining our group who have come to Boston seeking refuge from elsewhere. And we had this slide in the last presentation that Stan spoke on about the very rapid increase. So the very rapid increase in anti-LGBTQ, particularly anti-transgender legislation nationally in the last couple of years. As you can see from the graph, the uptick just between 2022 and 2023 is national. So there is a degree to which we're part of, you know, the argument of the group is that if Boston is going to be a refuge, if Commonwealth is going to be a refuge, we have to get the point here. Has to be housing, services available, services. Because people come here because they're clean and that, you know, services. So it's not actually that big. So I would just add, I guess, that piece of the conversation we somewhat favorably compare, I guess, because the legislature here is not going to be attacking this as aggressively. We did note in our presentation on the earlier slide that there's one explicitly anti-LGBTQ bill. And actually, Shipway Brooks is the executive director for the state commission, noted that actually there are several other even sort of progressive minded bills that have effectively anti-LGBTQ language in them because they're fully considered. And so from the commission standpoint, they actually feel like even some of the legislation that the legislature is currently contemplating that, you know, the sort of anomaly is beneficial actually has some problematic areas. So I think there's room for improvement, I guess, is the upshot to that.
Sure. Great. Other questions for Jack and Matthew?
Considered a Boston organization versus statewide?
Yeah, I mean, we focus our policy work on citywide, but we certainly don't turn away any members, which we have recently from the greater Boston.
Maybe we'll share our history, but so Jack lives in North End, I live downtown. This is my third time in this group with different hats. So we're from downtown Boston Neighborhood Association. I don't quite part of the team. But Jack and I, when we first started it, thought about it being literally a neighborhood council, so we thought we'd then downtown. And our first meeting, we had people show up from all over Boston. And so we immediately became Boston wide. In the last few months, so Jack had said we started to focus on Boston Metro, just because there's so many people coming from Cambridge to some of them with things and surrounding municipalities, so there's something like this, just Boston, but we're definitely trying very hard, at least I am, to avoid like growing to statewide, because that feels around it.
Sure.
Certainly have to look for spots.
Great. Well, good luck. Important issues, and you guys are taking them on as you should. Other questions, anybody? I don't see anybody online. Thank
Just
you.
follow you on Instagram, it's gorgeous, everyone comment on it.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
great. I had to figure out how to get those colors to move across my presentation. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, never mind.
Thank you. Bill.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We're gonna hear from our friends from Siam Bistro, Thai cuisine. Who's on? Oh, there we go. Yes. Hello. Mhm.
Mark, we can't hear them remotely.
Can you get a little bit closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
So, yeah, so Siam Bistro is my family restaurant for 14 years, and I personally have a passion for cooking, and since my family retired, I would like to take up that responsibility to continue the business. I feel like Boston is my home, and I feel very safe here, and people love our food, and from customer reviews that I talk to personally, they don't want us to leave, and to hear such good words from people makes me feel like I want to stay, and I want to do better than my family could. So I'm here because I need a new common Victoria license under my name in order for me to go back to the inspection office to get a health permit, get a new inspection building stickers and all that. And
So is it just a change of name, or are you planning on doing anything else? Change of name.
And it's not open at the moment
it is open.
under the family.
Yes.
Gotcha. Great. Please. go ahead, Rick.
Big Brand's restaurant, I would starve to death. I used it several times, I'm very nice.
That's wonderful. That's great. Well, we certainly want you to stay. So we have to go through the normal procedure here of asking people if they have any questions. I don't see any questions.
Yes.
Good question.
Yeah, right. Normally, people who wanted a renewed victualer's license bring food for everybody. Yeah. We'll have our official vote afterwards, but thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
What will happen? What will happen is the council will vote on it and
Tonight.
And then tomorrow I'll reach out to you via email, and if I don't see any reason why not, but if you get a letter of support, you would have it tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you for coming. And our friends from Tiki Rock, introduce yourselves, please. Yeah, this one actually is the same thing, but.
Oh, okay. Well, then, I'm halfway there.
Yeah.
So, like I said before, my name is Curtis McMillan. I was hired 3 months ago to come into Tiki Rock. When I got into it, it was in disrepair. We had 5 years of managers that had really not understood what the space was used for. We had entertainment nights on Friday and Saturday that were not really holding the business up. It was underwater. And the thing that most people don't realize about Tiki Rock is our ownership group is very reserved about letting people know who they are. And we are one of the largest nightclub operators of LGBTQ in the city. And when they brought me in and brought me into their family, it was extremely important to them and to me to put diversity back into Tiki Rock. Being that I am Puerto Rican and nobody can tell, it has always been something where if you find groups that are marginally looked at that don't have event spaces, you will find people that want to be part of your business. When we started implementing that type of use for Tiki Rock, we found a group of Jamaican individuals that did not have event space. Reggae has not really been part of the city. We brought that in on a Thursday night. We started working directly with inner city comedy that did not have event space. We moved that into Tuesday. And we have seen growth in our space of more than 20%. The opportunity to use the rest of the nights that we have available to us for diversity has been a huge thing that we wanted to push forward. Because of our synergy between our sister space over Candy Bar, we have drag performers that we would like to have used at Tiki Rock for brunch, but we don't have the entertainment license to facilitate that. When we talked with City Hall to do things correctly, they funneled us through Rebecca and then from Rebecca to you guys. And that's how we're doing it. We're gonna do everything above board, and that's where we wanna go with this. As far as our Wednesday night, there is a group out of New Bedford that does not have a space to be able to do drag. They are a Latinx group, and they've been only able to participate in Providence, which to me doesn't make any sense. We have one of the most diverse and inclusive cities. We should be able to provide those spaces, and I have the stage to do it. I just want to have the legal capacity to be able to provide that correctly.
So what do you have and how is it different from what you need?
Okay, so our entertainment right now provides that we can have a performer that plays a musical instrument or a DJ. We do not have the permission for anything that is cabaret variant or anything that is burlesque or cabaret orient or just there's a special wording that they used in it. It's
Okay.
performance.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
So make sure you get to us right away,
Yeah,
the correct wording.
it stands performance. That was the correct
It's
thing.
what?
Dance
Oh,
performance.
dance performance.
Yes.
This is all right.
Okay. To host a drag brunch on Sundays and provide a venue for Latin burlesque performances. Floor shows and dance performances.
That's correct.
That is
That's
the,
what the-
that's
that's the
the
invitation.
correct,
Yep.
correct, okay. All right. I think what you should do is to tell us in writing what you currently have so that we're clear on what you have
Okay,
and what you need in addition.
so the paperwork via the city for the amendment was in the email chain that was sent to you guys. That has both of those things laid out specifically.
Okay, well, if Susan cannot find that for any reason, she'll reach out back to you.
Yep.
Norm has a question. Yes, Norm?
Yes, quick question. When you use the term burlesque, what do you mean?
Okay, and I get this a lot. So being that we are still a Polynesian tiki restaurant, that Vegas sideshow feathers kind of burlesque performance, that's what we're looking to do. That's what they do already.
So
Okay,
you're
thank you.
You're not talking about striptease or
No.
anything like that.
No,
Okay,
Hi. Hi, I don't know how to raise my hand.
go ahead. Is that,
That's
who's
Jane.
talking?
That's
Jane, go ahead.
Jane Stricker. Hi. I tuned
Where are
in-
you, where are you from?
I live in Harbor Towers.
Thank you.
And I tuned into this meeting specifically for this issue. And who was it who was taught? Oh, Suzanne mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, she was very happy to see the events that were going to be going on at Quincy Market over the Christmas tree lighting, because it brought back family and neighborhood to Quincy Market. This Tiki Rock restaurant, who has delicious food, by the way, is contiguous to Quincy Market. It is right next to the Black Rose. And I think entertainment of this nature in that neighborhood is totally inappropriate. We are packed with tourists, packed with families. If anyone was out yesterday walking around on Columbus Day, there were more Mike's pastry boxes than on any big day in the middle of the summer. Somebody actually stopped me at the Starbucks on State Street and asked me, "Where's that famous pastry shop?" We all live, and this restaurant is located in the middle of Tourist Central.
Right. So I think you're expressing your opposition to the idea. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jane, for tuning in on that. Other comments from others who have any questions, please, right?
Hear the music on the street?
You
No.
shouldn't.
No, we have a set time frame where the city has said that we can have music outside, and after 10 o'clock, we're not allowed to, and it's shut off.
So the hours of operation again,
Are 10:30 in the morning till 2 in the evening. 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
So what did you just say about 10 o'clock?
So at 10 p.m. we're yeah.
Oh, but there is music piped outside.
Yes,
they will
allow
us to play music outside until 10.
Gotcha. At a certain prescribed
We-
volume.
We never approved it. Normally, you would come before. this
You've had that
council.
for a while.
Yeah, that's been part of our license for 5 years.
Okay, can you clarify that in what you send us as well? Because that is unusual, I think.
The other thing, are you going to have people, I can't think of the name, brought in by bus? They used to have, Broad Street used to be very honest with you, a very difficult neighborhood for us.
Yeah.
Because of the nightclubs and the people being brought in, I don't know, I can't think of the name of what
They were like bar hopping and buses, I think.
Yes.
Heard of that, very much so. I used to do security at Club Cafe. The venue that's set up there is similar to what we're looking at here now. There's no busing, like you said, for individuals to come in. We're very well aware of what the place used to be like, as well as the venue that was across the street. We're far different from that, in that our main goal and focus is to try to incorporate and be inclusive for individuals that haven't been included in the area. The response that we've gotten, as he said, he's came in August. I've been there off and on for 3 years now, between there and Club Cafe. It's looking just to, thankfully, we provided a safe environment and made it an environment where people actually want to come and eat and listen to music and be able to hear what they're accustomed to, where they haven't been able to get it anywhere in Boston. So it's more of a niche for us, where I said, as Curtis said, we're part of a group that is connected to the LGBTQ community, and we're just trying to continue to spread that. It's a place to be safe for individuals.
Is this literally the only place in Boston like this that you're?
We're the only place here other than, as he said, Underbar and Club Cafe, which are on the other side of town. There's no place over here.
Over here, but Club Cafe is, I don't know, Club Cafe, that's,
Club Cafe is Columbus Ave.
is it similar sort of
Yes. the
clientele?
Club Cafe is a restaurant slash club.
Gotcha.
Have the brunch, is it all ages?
So the brunch details, we haven't worked out most of those
Okay.
due to the fact that we have to get through this hoop first. But from the conversations that I've had, we are open to all ages up until 11 o'clock at night because we're a restaurant.
Yeah.
We're not a nightclub,
Right.
we're a restaurant. So giving that the opportunity to be something that can happen during that brunch time period, it would be something where I'm sure that the entertainers have the appropriate way to handle that.
Yeah.
And then as far as our Wednesday night performance, that would be late night 21 plus past that 11 o'clock time.
So my 2 cents, my
Yeah.
trans kid is always looking for great, opportunities to engage with the community and all ages opportunity to do that for
Yeah.
my family would be really special.
Okay. Absolutely.
And the neighbor, including that with the market I brought up, so, I would fully support this happening in our neck of the woods. I think it's something that is really needed. It's something exciting, it's something different. And I think that, like, that's what we're all talking about. That's been sort of the topic on the table tonight, at least that we've been speaking about. And I think that as we've spoke about is having these space, we are the stewards of these great spaces, and how can we be more inviting, be more inclusive, and this is how. And
Yep.
so, I applaud you for that. I think it sounds.
Thank you.
I assume that I was gonna say, I assume this is very consistent with the
Yeah, I was
hopes.
gonna add, so to your point, the reason why one of the 4 pillars of the Greater Council's community arts is because we consistently got the feedback and really not performing spaces and not arts in the city of Boston. So I would say it's very aligned with the first feedback. The fact that some places exist does not. I will also say to your point, the need for youth spaces in particular, again, it's been one of the top priorities of my life. So I think thinking about opportunities for youth programming, understanding that that's not going to be Wednesday nights after 11 p.m.
Yeah.
It's certainly worth considering. So I think you'd certainly be interested in talking more about being our 43rd or whatever this organization idea that we collaborated with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the doors are always open, and like, that's the thing that's really changed with Tiki Rock, and I think that it's been a wonderful kind of growth for us, is that we understand that there's communities out there that don't have representation, and we're trying to provide that space to everybody.
I would say that the only concern that I would have has nothing to do with the LGBT factor, has to do with noise and getting out of, I guess, for lack of a better word, the wildness when people are bussed in and suddenly people are running down the street with, beers and passing out and being sick and everything,
Yeah.
which has nothing to do with.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, Mike's being head of my security, we've definitely taken a place that was just undervalued to begin with. But I've been running successful spaces that are not that. I started over at Lincoln Nod in the South End, and I was over at Woosong Road in Harvard Square. My background is in mixology, and the places that I run are of a higher caliber. Being that we're a tiki bar that builds the best Mai Tai in the city, we get people in for that occasion, but we also provide the best bread rangoons in the city. And that kind of environment, that party.
He said challenge yourself.
Yeah. I want to be at that taste off.
That environment of debauchery is not necessary to be able to run a successful establishment.
Right, and I agree with you.
Well, we are very sensitive
I was
to
gonna
that
say,
issue,
our-
not to
our
the
main
clientele.
goal and purpose is to make sure that, again, people can come and be able to enjoy themselves, and it isn't about, and making sure that they're able to enjoy themselves and also to leave safely, not have to worry about walking outside
Right.
and experiencing that. And again, we've been very fortunate because, as anybody here may know, there hasn't been any incidents there.
Right.
Because we try to prevent that before.
What is the standard duration of a license for operating?
Oh, like the entertainment license?
Yeah,
I think that it's every year you reapply and then it just carries over as long as there's no limits.
or objections.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay, so I think that's typically the way we see it. I just wanted everyone to know if there are problems, as is what we say to everybody, if there are problems, we will ask you to come back and
Exactly.
talk about it.
Yep.
And we'd love to have you come regularly and tell us how it's going and be members if you'd like to.
Right.
Yeah,
I'd say come through.
yeah.
You were.
It goes both ways, you know.
Come through and check it out.
You were part of the Wharf District community.
Right? Absolutely. Other questions? Thank you
No problem.
very much. We, as we said before, we will have our executive session right after this. How are we doing on time? I think we're running through.
We're running.
Let's see, project updates, for everybody, the climate resilience. Task force has engaged O'Neill and Associates to provide us with a communications plan strategy for how we're supposed to engage the public going forward. Jenny, did you send on that one? That conversation? No, anyway, but we have, and they've done a great job putting together a strategic plan for us. It will roll out over the coming long period of time. But it's nice to have a direction, a strategic direction, and now we're working on tactical direction. Suzanne says we're supposed to talk about Wharf District neighborhood happenings.
Right. I'm going to, before we do that, I just want to say that we are planning on doing a holiday newsletter. So you will be hearing from me regarding providing information for the newsletter. We hope to get it out the week before Thanksgiving. And we've done them in the past, but we kind of took a hiatus. So we're getting back in the newsletter business, and we'd like to have this the best holiday edition that we've ever had. So if you don't hear from me, please reach out to me. Just trying to think.
We have, I believe that Representative Miglowitz is coming next month. Is that still on board? Oh, no, he's not. Okay. All right.
He's got to move that. So
Okay.
we're looking for a guest speaker for next month.
Okay.
But
December 17th, please plan on coming to our holiday party that will be at the aquarium again. And
we will be awarding our second annual award for our to thanks someone for their participation in the Wharf District community.
Yep.
I guess, well,
sure, go ahead.
well, he's looking the other way.
He's being modest.
We're thanking, last year we thanked Aaron Meklowitz. This year we're thanking Chris Cook.
I was hoping you came up with somebody else.
Nobody better.
And thank you, Suzanne.
And the Greenway Conservancy.
Yeah, exactly.
So they kind of hold our neighborhood together, so to speak. And that's it. But I want to go to different folks like Joanne Hayes Rhines to tell us about Christopher Columbus Park.
Yep.
Neighborhood happening.
Joanne?
Thanks, Suzanne and Mark. Wonderful meeting. Very complex, involved, and a lot of participation in the community. It's wonderful. So as some of you may not know, I am the president of the Friends of Christopher Columbus Park, and our upcoming event is our fall festival in the park, which we've had for probably 12 years or better. And it's an event for children, for families, specifically little ones, little kids, like 10 and under, 9 and under. And it's very busy. If I may share my screen, Mark.
Yep.
Oops. There we go. So you can all see that, I hope.
Yep.
And so it's, you can see some of the things on there, a magic show, giant bubbles that are amazing. They're gigantic. And it's all free, a reptile circus. It's amazing how the kids like all these little creepy creatures. So it's everybody in the neighborhood. It's really, really fun. Even if you don't have a little one, if you go out there and you look at them, you'll just be, if they don't make you smile, I don't know what will. There, because the kids are so darn cute. And so it's from noon to 3:30 on Saturday, and it's thanks to all of our sponsors from Boston Harbor City Cruises, Meet Boston, Joe's Waterfront, and northendboston.com, plus all the other businesses and the members. We just couldn't do it without you. And then I am delighted, let me stop share. So I think you can see behind me in my little box, the beautiful blue lights of Columbus Park. So I'm delighted to hear that Quincy Market will be back even more gorgeous than it was the last couple years. Jenny, congratulations on everything you're doing. And I know you're going to take this in a new direction with the new owners. So we have our trellis lighting the night before Quincy Markets annual halls. It's Monday, November 25th. It's at 5 o'clock. And the mayor will come and she will flip the switch. And so you're all sworn to secrecy, because when the mayor flips the switch, she's surrounded with children who also have their hands on it. And they're all told that when they flip the switch, the lights will go on. Well, the reality is, and this is a secret, that the electrician is in the shade. We have to count down very loudly from 10 to 1. So he knows when to flip the switch. And luckily, he still has good hearing, I think. So,
Pay no attention to the electrician behind the.
That's right. That's right. Our Wizard of Oz. And so Santa Claus will be there, and we have hot chocolate from Marriott. I think Joe's is donating, is having clam chowder. And it's just, again, another wonderful evening, and it brings out hundreds and hundreds of people. So hope you can make it to our trellis lighting. And that's it. And again, thanks for everyone who supports us. We really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you. I want to mention again, the Climate Beacon Conference. Starting really Thursday morning, the mayor is giving the kickoff, and then it goes through Friday. Great event. It's free for all of you as members of the Wharf District Council. Just go to their website and sign up. At the bottom, it says for nonprofits. Tremendous amount of stuff to learn there from what's happening in climate resilience and energy, doing the right thing to the planet from people from all over the world. And then Thursday night, I guess, is that's the event at the Boston.
At the
Boston Public Market.
I had sent this information with their agendas, so hopefully everyone who's interested can sign up. And should be a fun evening.
Right, and there's a 10% off the ticket there as well.
If you write Wharf.
Right. Other comments, questions? Thoughts?
Just really quickly, if after the party and you want to get scared, we're showing Poltergeist on the Greenway on Thursday. On October 24th, we're also showing Beetlejuice, and that's part of our fall fest, which is happening. And then we'll do everything we can to make December 17th a celebration. We're incredibly grateful for that, celebrating the Greenway.
Make sure you tell us who else you want to invite and to congratulate you. Duna, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thanks, Mark. Just wanted to, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. As many of you know, we're doing a major renovation of International Place, and some of the lobby work has been completed, but most recently, we installed a really cool piece of public art on the wall of the One International Place lobby. And I just wanted to mention it because it's really kind of a neat piece, and encourage anybody who's interested to come by, take a look. The seating is set up in a perfect way to sort of like sit there and contemplate the art. So that's it. Just wanted to mention it.
Great. I noticed, Duna, that the entrance to 2 is on the Greenway side is now open. That's correct, right? What's the status of the overall renovation?
Yeah, the entrance to 2 is complete. There's still some work being done in the lobby over there. And the whole courtyard where the fountain is, that is now closed off. And the plaza that's on the Oliver and High corner is under construction. Actually, a lot of it's being demolished right now to make room for make way for the new structure that's going up. So we're about a year away from total completion of the project.
Great. And you're going to have some new retailers in there when it's all done. Is that right?
That's what we're working on. Yep.
Great. Terrific. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? I see none. Okay, so thank you all. We are going to adjourn the regular part of the meeting, and Ray, if you want to stick around, you can, because you're a voting member, and it's just voting members for our executive sessions. Thank you. Appreciate what you guys do. Thank you both for coming.
Yeah, we're trying to.